The holidays start here at Kroger with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Kroger has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Next Saturday, Christmas comes early.
Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone.
Chargers.
It's a touchdown.
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic.
Live in primetime.
Wow.
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Next Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite show? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Download the Amazon Music app or visit amazon.com/ad-free sports. That's amazon.com/ad-free sports to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads. Enjoy thousands of Acast shows ad-free for Prime members. Some shows may have ads.
Yes, here we go. It's the P.M.P. and it is Celtic 0, Hearts 2. A result I wonder if many seen was coming. A title race that's not just wide open, but one that we may well now be second favourites for if this carries on any longer. Performances getting worse. Absolute, I've never seen such a fractured football club in terms of fans to the board to the playing staff and improving our squad, improving the football operation. Then I think the team and the manager I don't think there's a connect with. I've tried to repeat these things of late recently, all the stuff that I'm looking for the outside going. Once that's all these relationships seem to be broken, it's not going to end up well. And today, wow. I mean, that laugh is a wry one, let me assure you, because I'm absolutely gutted, obviously. Where to start? We'll start with doing all that good stuff very quickly. Like, share. There's going to be loads on the bus today, I already know it. But if you can't give us a wee like and a share at the start, just to have a real frank conversation about Celtic, not a happy clapping one. And maybe it's time that people start listening to people that want to have real conversations about where Celtic are, where they've been for longer than people think as well, and what the strategy is. I would love to have as many on as possible to actually engage in that debate. And we'll see how many are still happy clapping by the end of it. What's the other option? If there's a membership hanging on that. Picepost.com. Terry, who cares about all that? Because today, really, if ever there was a culmination, which I think is the word I used last week, with that second half, today was Mount Etna, mate. The volcano has now erupted. That was utter dross. From minute one to minute 95, because they played for 195, it doesn't matter. And it ended with fans, not the Green Brigade, remember, because they're banned, and we're going to speak about them as well. But it ended up with the actual rest of the fan base who get accused of being very mute during the games to singing, "Lobel get to fuck," and sack the board. These are I'm quoting chants that were sang. I'm not trying to use rhetoric that offends anyone or any of that nonsense. Terry, I'm meant to be the one driving the bus. I've got to come at you, mate. Where do we start?
Terminado. I've said the last few weeks, if Neil Lennon was serving this up to us, we'd be calling for his head. It's not Neil Lennon, it's Brendan Rodgers. I don't give a fuck. If a boxer is getting a battering and he's on the ropes and he stops throwing punches, he gets pulled out of there. This guy isn't throwing any punches. He hasn't thrown a punch since he came in. He's standing there, Boise, throughout that whole match with his fucking hands in his pockets, chewing a bit of fucking chewing gum. I didn't see any reaction from him whatsoever, any attempts to try and get anything out of the team. Instead of chewing gum, he should have been chewing the balls off every single underperforming player on that park today. There was nothing from him. He hasn't thrown one punch since he came in that door in the summer. In my head, we're now a point behind in this league. If we don't pull that man out of there, we're going to lose this league. There's lots of people we need to talk about, but with that squad of players, it's not the squad that I think we should have at the minute. I think we should have done different business in the summer, but we still had a team of players there who should be able to take care of Hearts, St Johnstone, Motherwell, Kilmarnock, fucking teams like that. We should be able to beat those teams. And Brendan Rodgers has not been able to plot a pathway to get results against those teams, which sees us from a position of where we would have been almost coming round the track to lap the opposition. We're now most likely going to be behind them whenever all games are evened out. And I never thought I would say this when the man walked in the door during the summer, because we all bought into it again. We listened to all the stuff he said about Celtic supporters daring to dream and all this pish. It's just all bullshit. I just don't know. He's not the same guy that walked out the door, because the guy that walked out the door because he had the balls to go and do that for what he felt was the next part of his career trajectory. But I don't know. I don't know why he's come back. He'd have been better taking a year out. He'd have been better staying on a sun lounger. He'd have been better fucking staying in Mallorca.
Do you remember my terminology?
Time's up.
Not my terminadology, but my terminology, Terry. When I said, remember, towards the end of the summer, and the window was getting a wee bit like, I've put all my eggs in one basket here, that Rodgers is going to be the guy, who changes this board's mindset, and we just need to be patient, and that the ambition he'll have and the players he looks to bring in will shock us, because there's no way he comes back without that. And then as the window started getting creepier, closer and closer to the end, and it was creeping up on us, I started saying, he better not be Brendan Light that we've got. But that was me kind of covering my own arse as well, because I'd backed him so much. Do you know what I mean? I was so convinced that despite I've been very consistent on the board, and not enough happened. We're going to get to them as well. But let's focus on the manager right now. I was so convinced he would come back a better version, if you like. Maybe even a bigger ego than he had first time round, Terry, to be honest with you. An FA Cup, 2 fifth-place finishes with Leicester, and he wasn't the one that got them relegated. They got relegated after he'd left, and he was only manager that summer, which, for context, didn't spend a penny in the transfer window. They brought in a free transfer, I think it was, on the last day of the window. That was his only signing. Any club that does that in the PL is going to be relegation fodder, right? Any summer. But then, as the window, as I say, was approaching closing, do you remember I started calling, this better not be Brendan Light? Lite. That was my biggest fucking worry, was he's came back on some sort of charm offensive, because he's worried about the percentage of fans, which there still was, that didn't want him back. And he was trying to be too nice, too happy with everyone, and trying to not cause waves. But the reason we were so upset, and why was so many people were raging about Rodgers when he left, the vitriol he got was shocking. But the reason for that was deep down, we were on his side. It was all the reasons that he left for deep down. We were gutted because, and we wanted to hate him because we rated him. And we generally deep down, I think even, it took a wee while, but then on reflection, everyone went, do you know what? He never got the players that he deserved for an invincible season, for Champions League qualification, 2 out of 2 his first 2 seasons through the playoffs. With all those financial rewards, he was offered up hee-haw, basically. And he's came back different. Rodgers Light ain't going to cut it as Celtic. And do you know the worst bit is? I think he's realised it. But what he's done in the short term, Terry, is he's thrown players under the bus that he backed initially. Now, that's a mixed message. But he's trying to do it to put signs out to the bold, I think, that January we need to ramp up. So this is all he's like. But what he's not realising is in the short term, the squad below him aren't good enough to actually overcome all this. So when a manager's throwing you under the bus, we don't have enough quality to actually get us through, muddle our way through to January. And now the results, since he started turning a couple of weeks ago, have now all fucking went to pot. And because of that, getting to January now is a real struggle. But you know what? He has played his card, firstly, too late, and secondly, too early. Because the first way around, I think complacency creeps into both, by the way. But first time around, he played it too late because the window was shut. So don't bother telling us, I always said we needed quality. No, you didn't. You said, the first thing you said was, the recruitment is the first thing I realised, the recruitment department, the improvement I can see there. He then said he was happy with everyone that came in. On numerous occasions, that was fine. He was there to coach them and make them better. Then when there's a couple of cagey results, as you've seen Terry, though, a couple of weeks recently, he's saying, well, I've always said there should be more quality. That's revisionism. And that's after the event anyway, because the window's shut, so it's irrelevant. What he's tried to do, though, is ramp up pressure on the board ahead of January. But in the meantime, there's football matches. And he ain't winning those football matches now with a fractured squad and players that don't know if they're coming or going. So he's got it wrong both times on those cards, if you like, that he's played. And for me, that's not the Brendan of old. It's Brendan Light.
But there's no identity, Boise. I can't sit here and say what we're trying to achieve. What is our style of play? It just seems to go out and play slow and play poor. There's, if we could see what he was trying to do, we talked about this the other night in or a couple of recent shows. At least when Ange had the troubled period at the start, you could see what he was trying to build. I'm not actually sure what Brendan's trying to build here. The squad lineups, the team lineups, they just don't make any sense whatsoever. It's just scattergun.
Look at this for James Lafferty, Terry, very quickly to interrupt you because he's actually a mate of mine as well, so but he's nailed it there because I'm going to put these to you. Rodgers has either A, lost it, B, isn't caring, or C, doesn't rate the players. And I think we're in a conundrum now where we don't actually know even what his views are because he's flip-flopped between his views. He said he was delighted with the recruitment. I'm here to coach them, make them all better. He then leaves half of them out of his whole squad. Even the boy Lagerbielka, who I kind of had said earlier on in the season I didn't fancy. But he scores a Champions League winning goal. See, then to omit him from the squad, you go, what the fuck? Suddenly Quan was on the bench today. So that's either is, as Sui said, it's either A, or B.
If I could just come in.
Go on.
His team selection and his squad selection suggests that he's lost it. His body language suggests that he doesn't care. And his post-match interviews suggest that he doesn't rate the players.
Oh, wow. ABC, just like that, Terry.
Everything stinks, Boise. Everything fucking stinks about the whole thing. There's absolutely nothing. At no point today, we love the romantic side of Celtic, and 2-0 down at half-time, you're thinking, we can still do this. Because over the years, we've seen it happen. I didn't even see us getting one goal, and we fucking didn't. That was awful today. And we've talked about bad first halves, good second halves, good first halves, bad second halves. Well, that was just dreadful from start to finish. There's absolutely no way those players are trying for this manager. The decisions that he's making in terms of players just appear from nowhere and find themselves on the bench or in the team, constantly just changing who plays in midfield. If this was let's look at it. If this was a rookie manager, someone who just picked or landed themselves in their first management job, maybe even a manager who didn't even have the qualifications to be a manager, you might understand it. But he's just been beaten by somebody like that. Somebody who's in their first managerial job. Somebody who had to put someone else's name on the manager, whatever, to get playing in Europe because he didn't even have the qualifications. He's just been beat by a complete rookie. And I ended up watching the game today on Hearts TV because my sound and picture were out of sync on where I was trying to watch it. And I'll be totally honest with you, it was interesting to hear what that game looked like from a Hearts fan's perspective. And the words they were using was, never seen a Celtic team so timid, so lackluster, so passive. Let's not kid ourselves. At some point in this game, Celtic are going to put us under pressure. This will be a grandstand finale. Celtic always do this. Did they? Fuck. We just went out with an absolute whimper there. That, you know,
as I said at the start, 195 minutes today.
Honestly, I've never felt as cross and angry with a performance as I do right now. And
did you give up?
Did I give up?
I gave up.
Still watching the game?
I don't mean no. I don't mean that. Did you give up in getting the goals that were required? I gave up.
I didn't say it happened. I never give up.
I never give up. I gave up. I'm being honest. I watched it. At no point did I think we're going to win this. I don't mean stop watching.
I've always seen that watching Celtic is a privilege.
No, but I never stopped watching the game. You're missing my point.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I'm watching the game. In terms of a sporting context, I gave up. We're not going to score. We are not going to score. I still watched it throughout. But what I'm saying is I gave up in the hope of we're going to turn this result around. Do you know what I mean? Did you really think we were going to get any 2 goals?
I couldn't see a score. I couldn't see a score.
You gave up as well. That's the reality. You didn't give up watching it. But we gave up. When you're watching it and you feel like you've given up, that is not a Celtic I identify with. It's just not. The manager's very culpable right now. And I think you're right to point the first level of traffic of the conversation, if you like, towards him.
Did you catch a post-match?
604 watching on the bus right now.
Did you catch a post-match? Did you catch a post-match interview?
No, I've not seen it. No. I was like, you know how I was saying I gave up?
Aye.
The one thing I've learned not to give up is cigarettes. So I went and had a fag before we came on, but just to try and clear the head and calm down. That's taught me the lesson: never give up in life. Never give up. 6 months without them, mate, the biggest mistake of my life.
I see 600 odd people on here, Celtic supporters all over the world, hurting like mad tonight. Like, the supporters are all together. The supporters deserve better than we get served up there today.
Of course they do.
There's fucking something seriously wrong. And
so let's look at So let's look at the goals. The set piece one is the one that really got me the most today.
2 set pieces.
Yeah, but sorry, the Lawrence Shankland header. I'm seeing the goal in my head there when I'm saying it. I apologise.
Yeah.
The Lawrence Shankland header, again, a static goalkeeper, that you would think that was a rocket that was sent past him. He makes it look like he's no time to react, in my opinion. I'm not saying he should save it, but there's the fact he can't even move. He's not even close to it. You're going, no, that's not going. But again, how's he so free? How are we not the fundamental basics? Basics is defending set pieces. But again, without repeating ourselves, Terry, set pieces are an absolute curse of Celtic, both attacking and defending, because we never score from a forward one. Don't get me started on the short corners today. What a fuck! The amount of times that happened, you just couldn't get your head around it. They pass it 3 times, and then Cal McGregor floats one into the box. No purpose, pointless, stupid football. So we're trying the attacking aspect of set pieces. We see the basics is defending one.
Just thinking.
See Lawrence Shankland, like out of all the Hearts players, which one do you think's the most likely to score for them? And he's that free. He's basically standing. He doesn't even really have to jump when he hits the header. Yeah, fuck me, man. This is now. I get that the tactical side of it, the football side of it, all has to come down with a manager. a manager who either over-believed himself or got a contract he couldn't say no to. I think there's a bit of both. But what I will say is, he looks lost. He looks lonely in that dugout with no team around him that's his.
The players that played under him the first time, Boise, they talked about the amount of information that he gave you about your
It's a
opponents.
team effort. He was the focal point of it.
The amount of information he gave you in preparation for a game about the player that you were going to come up against, the opponent that you were going to come up against, information overload. So when we're preparing for a game against Hearts and we're starting to think about the players in that team, the one at the top of that list is Lawrence Shankland. He's the goal threat. He's the one player in that team. If you need to keep an eye on one player, it's Lawrence Shankland. How the fuck did we just let Lawrence Shankland stand in acres of space on the edge of the 6-yard box?
Crazy.
Then he gets a header. It's absolutely unbelievable. If you're a player on that park and that set piece is about to come in, the one name every single player should be thinking about is where's Shankland? Where's Shankland? But it seemed not one person gave a hoot where Shankland was. It's criminal. But I mean, that just tells you that the players, they're not concentrating. If they're concentrating on what they're supposed to be doing, then the one thing they're thinking about is Shankland. Where is he? I don't know what. I honest to God, don't know what's going on. Joe Hart. I said it a couple of weeks ago, Boise. I feel the same. He needs to be pulled out of there for his own good. I don't know what he's doing. He
looks stunned, mate. That header was going to
target. Why is he punching balls that you or me could catch?
Panic, because he's panicking. He's not sure of what to do.
He needs pulled out.
He's not certain.
He needs pulled out.
See, in football, it's a weird thing. I think sometimes naivety in football can be a good thing. And sometimes you get too experienced and you've seen all the pitfalls of decision-making, can actually sometimes create more uncertainty in your decision-making. That's just past 700 live, by the way. Thanks, everyone who's watching.
50% of that are probably blue noses, Boise.
Of course they will be. I'm trying to block as I go. I don't mind the patter, to be honest. But now we need to then look at Terry, the other side. And I know that'll be why a lot of people are tuned in, particularly in the back of tweets that I was posting 18 months ago, and then I've kind of retweeted during the game today, at the end of the game today, getting a lot of sort of reaction, if you like. Twitter's not the be-all and end-all, by the way. Don't think I'm saying that. There's no fucking ego trip with any of this shit. But being consistent in your views. And I've accepted that the one time I did lose my consistency in my views of the board is because they were inconsistent themselves and appointed Brendan Rodgers as the replacement for Ange. I just thought, well, that doesn't make sense to me. See, if it had been a Maresca that we were talking about last week, I would have went, oh, fuck's sake, like, that's just what they want. Do you know what I mean? Unproven, untried, something that's going to need to listen to them. But when it was Rodgers, I thought, that doesn't settle with everything else I've been saying about the board over the last 2 years. And that includes when Postecoglou was in charge. So let's talk about the Ange effect and what impact this having, not just on the football team, but on the fan base as a whole, Terry. This is very important because it seems like when Ange came in, there was, I think, gratitude from a lot of fans that someone's here. And I think there was a lot of fake backing of him when he first came, because no one really could have said with real certainty, based on Japan and Australia, he was going to smash it at Celtic. But because we were in such need of a manager after the Eddie Howe chase, he seemed to get this absolute love-in from the get-go. By God, did he do well with the PR stuff. He was brilliant. Great speaker, got everyone on side, but he made harsh calls during that, which people forget. Maybe I'm not getting my message across enough that we need reinforcements. Rodgers never came out with any line like that. So, with that in mind, Postecoglou comes in on the back of Sharkgate, sack the board, Lawwell to all this stuff. And he loses at the beginning. Remember, he's losing games, mate, a 50% win rate. Under 50% after these first 7 games in the league. Yet once he started getting into his groove, and he got the players buying into Ange Ball, all the strongest views of what were fundamentally right and valid opinion on the direction of travel the Celtic board had been taking the club with Bear in mind, even then, it was 18 years without a knockout win in Europe, for example. Right? They went and missed opportunities of the Champions League. They seem to just lose that perspective because the football in the park was entertaining them. That consistency being let off for 2 years by the most vocal people that were sort of expressing it has been the biggest faux pas the support have ever made. Because during that 18-month to 2-year sort of silence, if you like, Terry, we got 2 Lawwells, 2 Desmonds, and the whole thing, the whole operation now is Pete Tong. They played musical chairs in the boardroom and amongst that. And from sack the board, everything changed to Ange Postecoglou, right? But that voice being lost and that viewpoint, those eyes being taken off the board, mate, they strengthened their ranks, Terry. They are now, it's almost impossible when people talk about sacking this board. It is almost impossible what you want. But what you did do was eased off the pressure on them. They strengthened while you had your eyes fixated on a guy that left at the first opportunity he got in England. Better opportunity, I get that. By the way, Spurs, don't blame him. But he batted, second the EPL batted his eyelids at Ange. He was off as well. But you'd all bought into him, took your eyes off the board, now you reap what you sow. Sadly, when Peter Lawwell comes in, he's allowed to be called non-exec for 6 months, Terry. They don't announce that he's now changed from non-exec to chairman. They don't even tell you because it was all bullshit for the start. I tried to explain this to people at the time. I've got a slight handle on how business works from, my 20s. I understand what they're doing. If there's only one man with the title chairman in his role, with chairman in his job title, he's the chairman. Celtic now don't hide it, but they go the ginger in those 6 months with non-exec to temper moods. And because of the Ange factor, no one wanted to scrutinise it enough. Now where are we?
Yeah, in terms, Boise, of the Champions League and stuff, we've talked about that, and there was absolutely no effort made to make any kind of inroads in the Champions League. And I totally get the whole fixation with the board. I totally understand all of that. But that squad that is there should be beaten. Hearts, St Johnstone, Motherwell, fucking Kilmarnock, all of those teams. So I know we're trying to move on from the manager, and that's probably the right thing to do. And we need to touch back on the second goal as well, because that second goal
let's just
that second goal was the exact same goal that we
Yeah.
lost in Feyenoord with a goalkeeper, again, who was on far too far over to one side. But anyway, let's pick that. Let's go back to the board.
Respond to what I was saying there, if that's all right.
But we've had this conversation, Boise, so many times.
Doesn't
Okay,
matter.
so what you've said there, that we can't do anything about this board. I watched a couple of shows during the week there about how the old board was got rid of. And the only way that supporters can influence what happens at board level is, unfortunately, by not turning up at games, by not buying merchandise, by voting with their feet. Now, what I would say today is, with 10 minutes of that game to go, 5 minutes of that game to go, at full time, the players were walking around the pitch. I don't know who the fuck they were clapping to, because there wasn't one fucking centre left in that place.
Let's stick to you're going off piste again. You're going off piste.
Am I?
Wee bit. I'm trying to give you a timeline of where these problems arose, I think, off the park.
But we know that. We know that. But I think we need to move.
I think people want to talk about it now. There's 822 people watching right now.
We need to move to
and I think they are. I think the strongest view right now of the Celtic support is very much mixed. There's a lot on the football side, but I think the majority of people's anger.
Your point is the board has been negligent.
But you don't want to talk about the board.
No, I'm moving to solution mode. How do we influence this? How do we influence this? How do we influence this board? The board have been negligent that summer. I think it might have been Mark. I don't know. It might have been Mark. It might have been one of the other guys put up a screenshot of the summer signings and then the starting lineup and how many of the summer signings that we made this summer were actually in that lineup. And I think there might have been one player or something like that. So we know that this summer was an absolute disaster. This was a summer where we expected Stardust to be added. 2, 3, 4 quality signings that made us better than we were last year. Instead, we got 9 signings of which only 1 was in the starting lineup today, as far as I know. So that's board negligence. That's not forward thinking. That's not trying to make Celtic better year on year. That's not coming out of every window stronger than we went in, which is a line that we've spun so many times. We've talked about January. You've talked about January, like getting through to January. Just get through to January. What the fuck do you think is going to happen in January? What do people think is going to happen in January? We get to January and all of a sudden there's going to be something happen that's going to resolve everything. What's going to happen in January? The exact same thing that happens in every fucking window. We'll go into it and there'll be names linked and you'll be YouTubing them, you'll be looking at them, and we'll come out of January. We might bring somebody in the last couple of days and we'll just mosey on.
You see what it sounds like you're saying there?
Yeah.
Is there isn't actually a plan.
I don't think there's a plan. There's definitely not a plan. The manager has no plan. That's clear to be seen. The manager has no plan. But when you look at what I've just said there, the board has no plan either. What was the plan? What was the point? What did they see? What was the vision of going out and getting those fucking 9 players who were no better than what we already had? What are we building towards? What were we trying to do there?
See, what I think, genuinely, I think they've had evidence that they can point to where 2-3 million Van Dijk's went for 13, right? Just for the first example, a 500-600 grand Frimpong's went for 11 million. And what they're trying to do is they're going, if we buy 7 of them, right? If 1 sticks, we make all our money back on that whole window. But boy, oh boy, do we look busy.
That's nothing to do. That's nothing to do with the product on the pitch.
It's not a strategy. The strategy is they just hope one of them, whether it being, I think the biggest hope, if you look back, I think because Thiago Holm had been named in the top, was it 50 or 100 upcoming players a couple of years ago? That was the one they thought. But out of that, realistically, all they hope is, say it was Thiago Holm, for example, kicked on right for the get-go, and he brings in 15 million in 2 years' time. That covers, mate. Kwon, Yang, all the rest. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's it all paid for. That seems to be the plan. But what annoys me, Terry, is it doesn't feel to me like there's any focus on what's going to impact the chessboard of the team. And the chessboard of the team can't just be made up of add what we already had with project players. There has to be a bit of, we need a bit of quality in there. We need a bit of romance as well in the transfer window, which we spoke about last week.
I don't think about other teams, Boise, but I can't think of another team that so many times has been in a position of strength and manages to fucking regress from that position every single fucking time. It's unbelievable. I know I'm sounding like Connor Carr here with the cursing and stuff.
The truth.
I'm so cross. How many times have we been in this position and we never, ever make any attempt to kick on in any way, shape, or form? We just make sure that we are 5-10% ahead of Rangers. And do you know what? Right now, we're not. We've slipped at the wheel yet again. When everything evens itself out, we'll be 1 point behind in the league. We've gone out of Europe with a whimper. They've won a Europa League group. And you know what? Absolutely fair fucks to them, by the way. We wouldn't have got out of that group. We would not have got out of that group with Prague and Betis in it. We would have finished third. We probably would have managed to find a way to finish third.
Would we have won that must-win game away to Betis on match day 6?
They topped that group. And do you know what, boys? Fair fucks to them. They've done it in Europe consistently. And we haven't. We absolutely haven't. We haven't been able to find a way to land a blow in Europe in any way, shape, or form since the run to Spfl. To be honest with you, I know we got through a few groups. Well, no, to be fair to Strachan and Lennon, when they got through to the last 16, that was a decent achievement. But like, we're sitting here thinking, and I know there's fans thinking, oh, if we get through to January, I just don't know what people expect to happen in January that's gonna change this. Because even if we do, and I don't think we will, bring in 2 or 3 players that are better than what we've actually got, they're going to come into a team where the manager has no plan either. So I'm really worried. For the first time this season, I'm very, very worried that, as you said, I think we're now second favourites to win this league. And I know that we've talked about how poor we perceive Rangers to be, and I think they are. But they made a quick, decisive decision around Mickey Beale. See this game today. I think this was our Rangers Aberdeen moment. Do you remember the home game where Aberdeen beat them easily? Beale was gone. They made the call. They made the change. Beale's gone. They brought someone in. We've seen this movie before. Seeing that COVID season, I probably was one of Lennon's biggest, staunchest backers because I'm just a Lennon fan. I just love the whole Neil Lennon story. And people were starting to question it, and I was giving him more time. But I think I've learned a lesson from that. And I think today is a very, very scary moment. It's really worrying, and I think something needs to happen. Something drastic needs to happen, or we're gonna lose this league.
This is the thing. I think he's gambled too early. As I was saying earlier, in terms of the recruitment.
I know what you're saying. So he's brought Bernabei in from the cold, hoping that you're showing the guys above, this is what I'm resigned to. I'm resigned to bringing him back in again, or I'm having to bring Quan in again, or I'm having to do this. I think he's playing games, boys. I think he's fucking playing games with
there's a complacency aspect there, isn't there? Because he expected himself to win. And for the first time ever in Boise Bus history, we've just surpassed 1,000 viewers. So thanks to everyone who's watching.
That's amazing.
Weird, eh? But it's annoying because there's a lot in there written the piss, which is fair enough. I wouldn't do the same because I've got a life, but I get it.
I'd like to say we'll see you again in May, but I don't even know if I want to see them in May at the minute, to be honest.
Well, he's going to reap what he sows. But see, the thing is as well, and this is why I think we need to try to get this conversation back to the bold stuff, right?
Get it back right again.
Because you're not that comfortable with it. And I get that because you're a football man. And I respect that as well, Terry. See, even if Brendan isn't the right man for the job and he's not got the chops, and let's just say he didn't get his agenda across in the summer at all, that's a prerequisite when you get the job is you're going to push us to get the best. The board appointed him.
Let me finish. You've got a different view on that.
Okay.
You don't think the board appointed him. You think Dermot Desmond appointed him despite what the board wanted to do.
So everyone's happy clapping then at the same time. No one's got the bollocks. Brendan's not got the bollocks to tell the board players that he wants and get them over the line, and the board don't have the bollocks to tell the owner the manager they want isn't Brendan Rodgers. Well, there you are fucked.
Yeah, but you did actually say this. You did say at that time, I'll give you the credit. You said this is a Dermot Desmond production. This is not the appointment that the rest of the board wanted. And you did actually, you probably don't remember this because you spent half your life spaced out, but you did actually you did actually say if those board members don't want Rodgers, Desmond appoints Rodgers despite the board wanting Maresca or someone else, then Desmond fucks away off. He comes in at that moment, he fucks away off, he doesn't have anything to do with it. What does that cocktail then become if you've got a manager that the board, who are then left to manage things, didn't actually want? And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
So we've got an owner a manager that the owner wanted, but the owner didn't see any part of the project through. He just appointed him, threw him in with a board that didn't want the manager there. The players are hung up on the previous manager, so he's not winning them over. He's not winning the board over, and he's more concerned about his public profile, try to keep the fans on side, and has done a charm offensive rather than just be a prick, which I don't mind the manager being a prick, by the way, if he gets results. And now here we are. Is that accurate? Are we losing the plot?
No, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
Oh, fuck.
Only Celtic Boise could go from where we were last season to where we're at right now. Only Celtic can do that. Rod Stewart must go.
That's the thing that annoys me as well. Like I want to talk about another thing, right? The GB ban. So again, I'm gonna direct this at the board too, Terry. The board got them a safe standing section. They invested in the GB. The Green Brigade are massive.
Extreme measures call for,
but also part of it,
extreme
they
measures.
also like became so big because they can't now like go, oh, they tried to break into our house sort of thing. But the reason they're massive, if it is your house, whenever you want to call it that, is because you're part of it. Like the Green Brigade don't become the standing section of the Celtic Stadium without the board's backing. So this ban that they've done on them makes them look even stupider. It makes the board look utterly ridiculous because you go, well, the Green Brigade's status, if you like, was very much hated by you. Like, massively, in fact. That whole and yet you can't get around the table and have a conversation to sort that aspect. But what they didn't bank on was the other three corners of that state, or three sections of that stadium singing in unison what they thought of you as well. So now we've got a perfect storm. The GB might actually be sitting there going, fucking well played to everyone else. They might moan about the rest of them not being able to create a noise. I think there's two sides to that debate. I think folk feel silly if they sing a song without the GB starting it. But today there was a chant started without the Green Brigade.
They started,
and it was one the Green Brigade would very much have been in approval of. And that is sack the board. And then it was fuck Peter Lawwell. That was there to be heard for everyone. Now, the board can't now kid on this as we have an issue, but the only issue we've really got is just for this one section. Now you know today, without that section there, the voices were heard. But all the issues seem to be, as we've just said there, I'm going to repeat it again for those who've just joined us. The board don't seem to have been on board, if you like, with the appointment of a manager appointed by an owner who appointed him and seemed to have just dropped the ball after that, left them to it. The manager doesn't seem to be overly happy with what the board did in the summer in terms of recruitment, but kidded on he was. The players don't seem to be all on board, if you like, with what the manager's viewpoints on how to play football is, or some of them just aren't getting it. And the fans, in the midst of this, today, have shown the first united front out of anyone. And that is, this is not the Green Brigade versus the board. It's the support now, in my opinion.
Yeah, the message was loud and clear, Boise, and I haven't heard chants like that inside the stadium for a long, long time. And I think I said to you one time, I was there one day when we reached rock bottom as a club. I think it was against Kilmarnock. It was either Kilmarnock or Motherwell, and the gate for the match was 8,000 or 9,000, and I never ever thought we would see that kind of thing today, at any day in my lifetime again. But it happened today, and that stadium just emptied. And I think even before the game, it was there was a lot of green seats could be seen at the start of the game. Never mind how many you could see at the end. There was empty seats today, and I know it's probably the weekend before Christmas. It
becomes more apparent because the mood music isn't good today.
Lots of people have other things to do. There's guys that go to the games and maybe they come under pressure to toe the line within the house for one weekend just to get out and get Christmas sorted and all of that kind of thing. But that message was loud and clear, and that, as you say, that wasn't a Green Brigade message. That was the other supporters, the guys who don't start the songs, the guys that sit in their hands, and probably me as well, because I don't start songs when I go to the game unless I'm totally just and start. I don't care if anybody joins in or not. But I was just trying in the background there to look and see when the next game is, and where we go from here. How does this move forward? So we've lost that game today. We know the fans are at loggerheads with the board. We know the manager doesn't have a plan. We know the players couldn't or appear to not give a fuck. Otherwise, why would you leave Lawrence Shankland stand at the back post?
And in terms of quality, they're not there, Terry.
But Boise, they should be there. They should be there.
Because of what? Fees.
Because
so there's
the majority of that starting lineup, won a treble last season.
Right. Okay. That's one argument. I don't know if it was the majority, but okay, let's go with it.
Joe Hart, Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers, Greg Taylor, Callum McGregor,
the cup final,
O'Reilly, David Turnbull,
the worst cup final winner of all time, which people
forget. The majority of that starting lineup won a treble last season. That lineup today should be able to see off Hearts at home, St Johnstone at home, Motherwell at home, and all those other fucking shitty teams that we haven't been able to fucking beat this season.
I'd take that on board. The other point I'm going to make, I'll give you one example. There's one example I watched in the second half, and it's not to single him out for particular criticism because I think it's one of many. See, when it comes to the ball coming across the box, tries to first time hits it, left foot, comes off his shin, hits tier 2. I don't blame him, but I just felt like there's a level to the competition we've now got for places, right? Yes, there is 2 players for each position, you could say, but probably in some cases more. See, to be honest with you though, Terry, that level of competition is dropping in front of our eyes. Do you know what I mean? The actual ability of the 2 players vying for a position is lowering in front of your eyes. And it's about time we see it. I thought that was just an example. And I'm just, again, it's not to single out for anything, but I watched him doing it. I thought, fuck, he's nowhere near good enough to be the guy pushing the lead striker. Just not in a bad way, like, no offence to him. 10 out of 10 for effort. But the quality level of the competition isn't real Celtic competition for a first team place.
Can I throw 2 names in there then?
Go on.
Jagamakis.
Of course.
Juranovic. Now, absolutely. We tried as supporters, we tried to say Juranovic. He
irritated me personally, I think.
Yeah, I get that. But would he have been better than what we had today at right back? First half, second half, would Juranovic be better?
Other managers would think so.
Possibly. I mean, let's take the case of Alistair Johnson just for a slight tangent. What on earth has happened there, Boise? What's happened there? This was a guy that came in and made us forget about Juranovic within seconds of making his debut at Ibrox, and became a cult hero because of his no-nonsense style, his Tiger Woods voice, and all that kind of stuff. What the fuck's happened to Alistair Johnson this season? Is that just symptomatic of what's happening at the club, where everything is just regressing? Everybody is 10, 15, 20, 25% drop off from where they were last season? Is the transition from Postecoglou to Rodgers so stark that players who were able to win a treble last year aren't able to do the absolute basics now?
See, when we look at the key players, though, in that treble winning season, and the year before as well, particularly last season, because they were all there for the full year, Kyogo, Itati, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Jota. There you're 4. I would take Calmac, obviously. He'll be there. He'll be there till he's 100.
Absolutely.
Right? But when you look at those other 4, only one of them's been about, and it's Kyogo. And he's the example you could say, what a drop-off it is under Rodgers compared to Postecoglou. I get that. I take that on the chin. But for a Kyogo, I'll give you Matt O'Reilly. And I'll go, well, not being a dick. And just be very clear, Rodgers wouldn't have got away with signing a free transfer for Leicester City for a year to getting through a World Cup at the expense of a young upcoming player as good as Matt O'Reilly. Rodgers sacrificed O'Reilly last season. Postecoglou sacrificed O'Reilly last season. Facts. And look at the improvement now under Rodgers. But notwithstanding that, it's the deficit in the goal tally with Kyogo. And even his involvement, you cannot help but looking at that and go, fuck, it's damning. But in terms of CCV, injured most of the season. Atati, off the boil when he has played, but injured 90% of the season. Jota sold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Only you could bring it back round and blame Aaron Moy for today's performance.
Fucking Aaron Moy's fault, I tell you.
But
I think it's a good example. I don't know if Rodgers would have got away with a free transfer for Leicester City. It was 33 when he left. Say we'd signed Johnny Evans this summer. There's a perfect prime example.
I wanted that one, by the way.
Well, I know that's what I brought up. But if we'd signed Johnny Evans this summer, trust me, mate, Rodgers ain't getting any kudos for that. Moy shouldn't have got the kudos he did either. He was at the expense of someone like Matt O'Reilly, who this season is doing things Moy could only dream of. Facts.
Here, careful what you wish for. I would take anything to have Starfelt back right now. Can you believe I'm saying that? Honestly,
No,
I would. No, I would. See.
He believed Rodgers. Postecoglou believed the relationships.
Yeah, exactly. And but to be fair, today wasn't about Scales and Carter Vickers, because, well, it might have been actually. I think Scales probably has to have a bit of responsibility on the first goal, because it's on the side where it's him and Taylor, and neither of them are anywhere to be seen whatsoever in terms of Shankland. I just don't know, boys. See what happens. Where do we go from here? Something has to happen. See if we don't do anything. If Celtic do not do anything, we'll lose this league. Something has to happen right now.
Sounds got to give.
Something has to happen right now for us to rescue this title challenge. What do you think that looks like? Do you think Brendan Rodgers will still be Celtic manager come the 1st of January 24?
Wow, yeah.
I don't think they'll get rid of him. I don't think they'll do it.
I think he's feet under the table, and that's my biggest worry with him. If he's Rodgers light,
listen, they let Lenny fucking stagger about in the fucking dark for 4 months. They're not going to.
And he wasn't getting the wages Rodgers is. Do you know what I mean? So of course he's feet under the table. But what annoys me is what Rodgers can do between now and the window opening. Obviously, is what we're looking for, because that means recruitment.
But
right?
what's going to happen? What is going to happen when that?
So let me tell you what
Yes.
Very simple, very very simple. See, if it was me, I would change the formation.
Buy better footballers.
No, but you can't before January. You're not. This is what I'm trying to say. What are you doing here now?
Yes, between now and the end of the window.
Do what Lenny did. Do what Lenny did in the COVID season, and for all the shite Lennon gets, folk forget the adjustment he made when he realised his failings. We lost that. It was the Derby or New Year. It was the 31st of December. I think Gerrard headbutted the Sky camera. Am I right? That was that year. Remember Gerrard going right up to the camera, all that. And Lenny, what does he do after 2 weeks thought? He went 3-5-2. How does that sound? Griffiths Eddie, perfect. We blitzed that league, even though it was called early, cruised it. We left them for dust, but he recognised his own shot. But that wasn't all about the players that are there. He adjusted the players that were there to play a different dynamic. Rodgers doesn't right now looking like he's just rotating people that he doesn't think's right into the same formation. And I'm like, if you don't think they're right, think of a different way to play them. You can't just keep putting square pegs in round holes.
Right.
And that,
so next
I
Saturday,
think, is what he's doing.
Next Saturday, Livingston. We have to get the 3 points. Nothing else will do. If we don't get the 3 points next Saturday, it's gone. Absolutely gone. Do you agree?
I don't think it's gone. No,
it's gone. If we don't get 3 points next week against Livingston, it's gone.
Flip it.
So what happens? What happens in the next 7 days?
Right.
I think nothing. Nothing happens.
I like the question. I think it's a good question. Let's say we lose next week and we fall further behind, do then in January the board react bigger than what they would before because they panic?
Yeah, they probably do. But to me, it's too late.
So, like, not because this is where I hate the debate of who I wanted Celtic to lose. I'm not interested in that shit.
No.
But you're saying if we were to lose in the next 7 days, I think it's feasible, by the way. I'm not removing it for the conversation. But I think, meant like in a mad way, I think it refocuses the board. This board, again, consistency was a word I used earlier in my views of the board.
Reactive.
I've always said to you, they're always reactive, mate.
Yeah.
They've never been proactive.
Never, ever. But I think if we don't get the points next weekend, I don't think it matters what happens in January. I think it'll be too late. Honestly, I think if we give Rangers, we've given them so much encouragement over the last since the season started, actually. But do you know what they'll do in January? If they think they've got a realistic chance, they'll spend more dough that they don't even have.
I mean, I don't know about that, mate. The thing is as well, I'm not going to ever condone like spending money you don't have. I don't think that's a good model either.
But they've got a history of doing that, don't they?
Well, the previous entity had a history of doing that. Right now, if I had, they've probably done the same. You're right. I just don't know what to make of it. For Celtic point of view, I just want them to be a wee bit more aggressive. I want to be aggressive in the summer, but I think whenever you'll see aggression in a transfer window from Celtic, it'll be reactive. It'll never be from a position of strength. Do I see us still dropping points between now, though, and that window opening? That's a real concern.
Right, we've 3 games. We've Livingston next Saturday. We've Dundee on Boxing Day. We've Rangers on the 30th. Do we get 9 points?
No chance.
Well, then we're fucked.
Do you think we get 9 points? You're going to say yes now and twist.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. I think I am. I don't know why. I think it's probably that double bug and monster. I'm going to say right now we're going to get 9 points when we least expect to get 9 points. That'll be our first 3 victories in a row,
and that'll be the board going.
And we'll go into the new year. We'll give the new year, and the board will go, Peter, just put your card away, Peter. You don't need that anymore.
We're jamming. Oh, mate, that will. We're going across.
If we don't win the next 2, we're fucked. If we don't beat Livingston at home, if we don't beat Livingston at home and Dundee away, we're fucked. I still something in the back of my heart or my head or I don't know what thinks we're gonna win this game on the 30th no matter what. I've just got this thing in my head. We'll find a way to do it. But that's just a romantic in me that Brendan will turn this round. Brendan will find a way. Rely on Brendan. If I was the person making the decisions tonight in the showers or shortly after the showers or whatever, I'd be pulling them out of there because I'm not seeing a fighter.
You keep your wee kinky thoughts to yourself, mate.
I'm not seeing a fighter that's throwing punches. He'd
it's not. Find his bullets. That's like I've said it for a long time. Is he
semi-retired? Do you think is he just semi-retired and he was thinking of taking time out of the game? Now he's just topping up the pension?
I think he's doubting himself. I think he's annoyed at himself for the summer. And I also think that last season at Leicester's maybe had more ripples than I estimated on him. That it's just there's a wee bit of self-doubt, I think, with him that we didn't see the last time. And he has to react to the competition and he has to do it soon. Terry, we're going to call it there. That's nearly been an hour. There's over 1,000 watching on the bus. We're delighted that you're all watching. It's just right, the circumstance. See when we win. The show's actually a lot better. Terry, I can't thank you enough for coming on, though, because it's not always the best fun.
Oh, easy, boys. It hasn't been easy this season. Sure it hasn't.
No. The road will be rocky, but it won't be rocky long. As always, keep your eyes on the ball. Cheers, Terry.
Social Podcast Network.
Well, shopping for a car?
Yep, Carvana made financing a car as smooth as can be.
Oh, yeah?
I got pre-qualified instantly and had real terms personalized just for me.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
Well, I got to browse thousands of car options on Carvana, all within my budget.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
It does. I actually wanted a car that seemed out of my range, but I was able to add a cosigner and found my dream car.
It doesn't get much...
Oh, it gets smoother. It's getting delivered tomorrow.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get pre-qualified today.